Well, it is the topic of the morning, as we've been saying, the whole question of Sotomayor and the debate to come. To get a preview of the two ends of the firefight, talking to two lawyers right now, mano a mano, conservative public and pundit Ann Coulter, and Democratic strategist, GMA contributor James Carville, as we said, lawyers as well. Good morning to both of you. Great to have both of you with us this morning. Thanks so much. I'm going to start with you, James, because there's a quote out there from Judge Sotomayor, which has already gotten a lot of attention. And she said this, responding to Justice O'Connor, who said that white men can have the same kind of wisdom as anyone else in reaching agreement, as a woman, for instance. She said, there can never be a universal definition of wise. I would hope a wise Latina woman with the richness of her experiences would more often than not reach a better conclusion than a white male who hasn't lived that life. Reach a better conclusion by virtue of being woman, Latina?
Well, first of all, I graduated from law school. I kind of deny the fact that I'm a lawyer, but I did pass the bar at one time. Look, Justice Thomas in his hearing talked about how his experience of walking in poverty and things like that would bring an added dimension to his ability to make decisions. I think everybody has a life, has led a life, and I think it's part of what you do in a sort of decision making.
And?
Well, even Stuart Taylor said it's a racist statement. It is a racist statement, and I think it does a disservice to women and minorities that we're supposed to be empathizing for by suggesting they do have a different way of deciding cases. And it's not a view that either Justice O'Connor or Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg subscribed to.
Well, you know, look, I think experience is everything, and people have different experiences. I think you want a richness and a diversity of opinion on the Supreme Court. I think what this is the president was striving for, and she has a life experience that she brings, by the way, with an impressive background in the law. But unlike me, I think she was like summa cum laude. I always kind of thank the Lordy, if you know what I mean.
Well, let me ask about that, Ann, because the qualifications, when you read them, are so impressive. She was summa cum laude, as James said, at Princeton. She was in Yale Law Review. Yeah,
yes, no, she does have a very impressive background, academic background and personal background, but as James just alluded to, so did Clarence Thomas. That didn't impress the Democrats. And I think it's especially audacious for Democrats to be touting her as, so isn't this wonderful, the first Hispanic nominee to the Supreme Court. Miguel Estrada had a pretty impressive background. He came here as a teenager from Honduras, not speaking English, graduated from Columbia and then Harvard Law School, and the Democrats specifically blocked him and we head into the Supreme Court. So I'm not really interested in hearing their enthusiasm for an Hispanic now after blocking Miguel Estrada, who also had an impressive life story.
We can only aspire to reach the Alberto Gonzalez standard, but we will try. I mean, no, with that kind of confidence, you just don't get it. That kind of confidence you don't get every day.
I mentioned Miguel Estrada.
Well, I mentioned Alberto Gonzalez. Everybody gets to talk on the show.
He had nothing to do with the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
Well, but let's talk about, I want to go back and pick up on what you said before and not leave it before we leave this topic. And you said this is racist, what she said?
I was quoting Stuart Taylor, not a conservative, writing in the National Journal. Yes, certainly, saying that someone would decide a case differently, better, in fact, because she has a Latina rather than a white male. I mean, that statement is, by definition, racist. I'm not saying she's a racist, but the statement sure is.
Okay. I think she was trying to say, and I think many people do, and I think the president agrees. You know, I got to say, as a Democrat, I was taken aback. I was choking up to see an African-American president of the United States, first Hispanic woman in the Supreme Court. It was quite a moment. It was really, I was touched by it, I got to say. It was quite a moment.
Were you moved by the Hispanic breakthrough, Ann?
Why aren't Democrats, weren't they choking up over Clarence Thomas or Miguel Estrada? I mean, you know, come on. Why are we all supposed to weep only when it's a liberal Hispanic or a liberal black?
All right, let me turn to a new topic here, which is the question of reversals. And 3 reversals, as we know, on the appeals court, 1 on the lower court when she was there. Ann, have you studied them? What do they say?
I've looked at some of them. You can't say that much in the abstract about a reversal. I mean, obviously, it's not her strongest point. You wouldn't put that at the top of the resume. I think it's more the cases she's decided, and a very likely, maybe I shouldn't say very likely, since you never know what the Supreme Court's going to do, but a strong possibility for reversal on the white firefighters case. I mean, it's more what the decision was that I think is shocking, and you get a window into what liberals mean when they talk about empathy. It's not empathy for all parties before them. That's fine. It's empathy for particular parties, and in this case, the empathy was for unknown, hypothetical blacks who had been discriminated against in the past, as opposed to specific white and Hispanic firemen in front of them right now being discriminated against on the basis of their race.
Show me a judge that hadn't been reversed, and I'll show you a judge that hadn't made any decisions. And a lot of times, when it comes to different courts of appeals, the Supreme Court has to take one ruling and pick that ruling over others. That doesn't trouble me in the least.
Quick summary question this morning on the politics. And think there'll be a filibuster among Republicans? Should there be?
I think there should be. I think they ought to follow the lead of the President of the United States. President Obama voted against Justice John Roberts, Justice Sam Alito, and he specifically rejected the idea that had been put forward in the past by Orrin Hatch, saying, look, the President is the President, and we just judge judicial nominees on character judgment. And Obama said, no, I reject that. I'm going to look at how we decide cases. So I think Republicans should follow the President.
Will she pass?
Who knows? I must say, I would not have thought that last week the Senate would vote 90-3 not to shut down Guantanamo. So who knows? Public opinion can change things.
James?
Well, I mean, Ann and certainly Rush Limbaugh have come out very aggressively against this, and we'll see what Republicans follow them. And they got a big following out there. They're very important spokespeople in the Republican Party, and I think that Ann Coulter and Rush Limbaugh are out aggressively. We're going to say to Democrats, we'll welcome the battle and hope that they have every right to speak out against this, and we encourage them to speak out if that's the way they truly feel.
All right, I thank you both. Great to have you with us this morning. Great to hear from you, and that's a preview of what's ahead.